Have you ever felt like life keeps throwing storms at you? Storms so strong that you wonder if you're standing alone in the middle of it all. Imagine this. The winds are howling. The waves are crashing. The darkness feels endless. You feel small, insignificant, maybe even invisible, overwhelmed by the weight of everything happening around you. And then through all that chaos, a voice cuts through. Calm, steady, unshakable. And it says, I am with you. That voice isn't just an idea. It's the voice of God, the creator of the universe, the one who holds galaxies in his hands. And here's the truth. When you finally grasp that God is not only powerful, but for you, everything changes. Your perspective shifts. The fear that once paralyzed you loses its grip. You begin to stand tall, even when the odds are stacked against you. Because if the Almighty, the one who designed existence itself, is with you, then tell me who or what could possibly stand against you. But let's be honest. Isn't it true that we often doubt not God's existence, not his power, but his concern for us personally? We look around and think, sure, God is for the holy, the righteous, the chosen ones. And yet deep inside, we struggle to accept that he's also right here walking beside us. And I want to tell you something that could shift the way you see your struggles. Just because you're going through hardship doesn't mean God has abandoned you. Just because the season feels cold and heavy doesn't mean he has turned his face away. In fact, it's the complete opposite. He knows, he sees every tear you've shed in silence, every frustrated sigh in the night, every prayer that you thought bounced off the ceiling. None of it went unnoticed. God is not distant. He is near. He is closer than the pain you carry. His heart aches with yours, and he doesn't stand far off. He bends down to you. He whispers courage into the depths of your soul. He loves you, not some ideal version of you, not a future better version of yourself, but you here and now. And personally, I've come to feel this truth deep in my own life. There were moments I thought no one could possibly understand the weight on my shoulders. But looking back, I see it. God was there in the background, steady, carrying me when I couldn't carry myself. From my perspective, that's not just theology, that's survival. That's hope made real. So the next time you're caught in the storm, remember this. The presence of pain does not mean the absence of God. Here's the hard truth we don't always like to face. Struggles aren't proof of God's absence. Sometimes they're proof of his presence. Because growth rarely comes in comfort, it comes in fire. Diamonds aren't shaped in silence. They're forged under pressure. And in the same way, your trials are not punishments, they are preparations. Think about it. Every single person you admire, whether in history, faith, or even your own circle, has faced hardship. What separates them isn't luck, it's resilience. It's the decision to believe that what they were going through had meaning. And when you choose to believe that God is still with you in the middle of your struggle, you stop seeing the pain as the end of your story. Instead, you begin to see it as the very soil where your strength, your character, your faith take root and grow. Now, I'm not saying this lightly. I know how heavy the burden can feel. I know what it's like to ask, God, why me? Why now? And here's what I've learned. Sometimes God allows us to walk through seasons of struggle so that we can discover what we're truly made of, not just our fragility, but our resilience. And in that discovery, we also uncover his faithfulness. From my own perspective, the toughest moments of my life weren't when everything went smoothly. It was when I had to crawl forward step by step without seeing the full picture. Looking back, those were the seasons that built me. Those were the days that carved strength into my bones and put courage into my voice. Honestly, without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. So if you're listening right now, drowning in the why of your situation, let me give you a shift in mindset. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this preparing me for? Because every setback carries within it the seed of a comeback. Every loss can plant the roots of future growth. And every moment of weakness becomes the very stage where God's strength shows up. Your trials are not wasted. They are building you into the person you were always meant to be. And the longer you hold on, the stronger you become, not just for yourself, but for everyone who will one day look at your story and draw strength from it. Listen carefully. That mountain is not there to stop you. It's there to reveal what's inside you. Too often we look at obstacles as dead ends, when in reality they are invitations. Invitations to rise higher, to step into the strength we didn't even know we had. Because here's the truth. Pressure reveals potential, and adversity, it awakens the greatness lying dormant in your soul. When you begin to see life through that lens, everything changes. You stop being afraid of the storm, and you start asking, what can this storm teach me? What muscles of faith is this moment building in me? And that's when struggle turns into strategy. That's when pain turns into power. Think about some of the greatest stories ever told. Every hero faces a challenge that seems insurmountable. Every leader walks through fire before they carry the crown. Why? Because destiny demands preparation. You cannot step into your calling without first being tested by trials. And if you're listening to this right now, maybe that's exactly where you are not being punished, but being prepared. I'll be honest with you, from my perspective, some of the hardest moments in my life looked like pure defeat. Times when I thought, this is it. I don't have anything left in me. But strangely enough, those were the seasons that drew out the deepest strength, the clearest vision, and the most unshakable faith I've ever had. Looking back, I can say with full confidence, those mountains didn't break me, they built me. And I want you to hear this. The same can happen for you. Whatever mountain you're staring at right now, it might look immovable, but with God standing beside you, it's not the end of your story. You don't have to shrink back in fear. You don't have to let the weight crush you. You have the power to take one step, then another, and keep climbing. Because the truth is, the mountain isn't just about reaching the top. It's about who you become on the way up. The climb refines you. The struggle shapes you. And the view from the top, it only means something because of the sweat, the tears, the persistence it took to get there. So don't give up. Don't give in. Your mountain is not your enemy, it's your training ground. And every step you take with faith, every step you take with resilience, is proof that you are stronger, braver, and more capable than you ever believed. Here's the reality. Your past does not define you, it refines you. Too many people get stuck replaying their failures like a broken record, convinced that those moments erase their worth. But hear me clearly. God does not waste your pain, and He does not define you by your mistakes. In fact, the very places you feel weakest are often the places where His strength shines the brightest. Think about it. Every scar you carry tells a story not of defeat, but of survival. That scar is proof that what tried to break you couldn't destroy you. It's a reminder that you walked through fire and came out stronger. And I believe from personal experience that the moments I thought disqualified me were actually the very moments that prepared me. Because failure isn't final. Failure is feedback. It teaches you where to grow, how to shift, and what to leave behind. You see, God doesn't choose the flawless. He chooses the willing. He doesn't look for perfection. He looks for persistence. So even if you've stumbled, even if you've made choices you regret, don't count yourself out. The story isn't over. If you're still breathing, you still have purpose. From my own life, I can tell you I've made mistakes, big ones. And for a long time, I believe those mistakes made me unworthy of moving forward. But as I reflect now, I see that those failures taught me lessons I could have never learned from success alone. They humbled me. They grounded me. And most importantly, they gave me compassion for others walking through the same valleys. So maybe your past is heavy. Maybe the weight of shame feels unbearable, but listen to me, that shame is a liar. You are not your failure. You are not your regret. You are a living, breathing story of resilience. And if you choose to rise today, to stand up one more time, your past won't be the chain that holds you, it will be the platform that propels you. Never forget, some of the greatest leaders, the strongest voices, the most impactful lives were shaped in the shadows of their mistakes. What matters isn't that they fell, it's that they got back up. And you can too. So don't let your past convince you that you're done. Let it remind you that you've already survived what should have destroyed you. And if you've made it this far, imagine how much farther you can go with faith, determination, and a refusal to quit. That thought can eat away at you if you let it. Comparison is a silent thief. It robs you of joy, of gratitude, and of your own unique journey. But here's what I want you to understand. You are not meant to run someone else's race. You have your own lane, your own timing, and your own purpose. And just because your breakthrough hasn't come yet doesn't mean it won't. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with highlight reels. People posting their achievements, their victories, their polished success. And it's so easy to scroll and think, what's wrong with me? Why am I not there yet? But let me tell you something personal. From my perspective, every time I compared myself to others, I only ended up feeling smaller, weaker, and less capable. And the irony, half the time I was comparing my behind the scenes to someone else's carefully staged front cover. The truth is this, Your struggle is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. Just because it's hard doesn't mean you're losing. Sometimes the hardest seasons are the ones that prepare you for the biggest leaps forward. Think about a seed. It has to break before it grows. It has to push through dirt and darkness before it reaches the light. And the same goes for you. Don't despise the season you're in right now. It may look ordinary, it may feel exhausting, but it's shaping something extraordinary inside you. When you embrace your process instead of wishing you had someone else's, you reclaim your power. You stop seeing delays as denials and start seeing them as preparation. Personally, I feel the greatest victories are not the ones that come overnight, but the ones you had to sweat, cry, and fight for. Because when you finally arrive, you'll carry not just the success, but the strength of the journey that got you there. And that strength can never be taken away. So stop looking sideways. Stop measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel. Fix your eyes on your own lane, your own mission, because your time will come. Your breakthrough will arrive. And when it does, it'll be worth every single step you took in the dark to reach it. Let me challenge that thought. The size of your dream isn't proof that you're unqualified. It's proof that you were meant to grow into it. Dreams aren't supposed to feel comfortable. They're designed to stretch you, to push you, to call out the version of yourself that you haven't fully met yet. Here's what I've learned. Every great achievement started as an idea that looked impossible. The Wright brothers, people laughed at the thought of humans flying. Thomas Edison, thousands of failed attempts before the light bulb lit the world. And even in my own life, the goals that seemed the most outrageous at the start were the ones that transformed me the most. To ikinchuquan kutoi, the bolder the vision, the stronger the growth it demands. But here's where most people get stuck. They believe they need to have it all figured out before they start. They think they need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect resources, and because of that, they never take the first step. But hear me, progress doesn't come from perfection, it comes from motion. One step forward, even a shaky one, beats standing still every time. Your dream may look massive, but it's built step by step, decision by decision. Each day you choose to move forward, you're proving to yourself that you are capable. And those small steps, over time, create unstoppable momentum. I've experienced this firsthand. The moment I stopped waiting for the perfect conditions and just started moving, doors opened I never imagined. Opportunities showed up, people appeared, and paths cleared, not because I had everything ready, but because I was willing to begin. And that's the key. Begin. Don't let fear of failure paralyze you. Failure is just part of the process. Every misstep is a lesson. Every setback is a strategy in disguise. What matters isn't how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up and keep going. So don't shrink your dream to match your fear. Expand your courage to match your dream. Because if the vision is in your heart, it's there for a reason. It's calling you. And the world doesn't need a smaller version of you. It needs the bold, fearless, faith-filled version that steps forward even when the path isn't clear. Here's the truth. There is no perfect time. Waiting for the stars to align, for the conditions to be just right, is the fastest way to stay stuck. Life doesn't reward those who wait for permission. It rewards those who act with courage, even when it feels uncomfortable. And often, the breakthrough you're craving only comes after you take the first imperfect step. Think about it. Every major turning point in history and business and faith, none of them happened because the people involved had flawless plans. They happened because someone chose to move. Despite the uncertainty, Moses didn't part the Red Sea by waiting until the waters calmed down. He stepped forward in faith, and the waters moved. The giants in every field weren't fearless. They simply acted in spite of fear. I'll be real with you. From my perspective, the biggest regrets in life don't come from the risks we took and failed at. They come from the chances we never dared to take. The what-ifs echo far louder than the memories of stumbling. And that's why I believe hesitation is often more dangerous than failure. Failure teaches, hesitation steals. So if you're listening right now, waiting for that green light, hear this. The green light is already inside you. The dream, the fire, the vision you've been carrying, that's your sign. Stop waiting for someone else to validate it. Stop waiting for the circumstances to magically line up. Start where you are, with what you have. Because momentum is born from action, not intention. Here's something else I've learned. Clarity comes through movement. Too often we think we need the full map before we begin the journey. But life doesn't work that way. God doesn't hand out the entire blueprint. He gives you the first step, and when you take it, the next step appears. And when you keep moving, The fog begins to clear. Personally, I feel this is where faith and psychology intersect in the most powerful way. From a faith perspective, stepping without certainty is an act of trust, trusting that God will meet you where you are. From a psychological perspective, action rewires your brain. Every time you move forward, even in a small way, your confidence expands. Your belief in your own ability grows. And slowly, you stop seeing yourself as someone trapped by fear and start seeing yourself as someone capable of growth, resilience, and strength. And let's not forget, the journey itself is the training ground. You don't become strong before the climb. You become strong because of the climb. You don't become confident before the challenge. You become confident through the challenge. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never start. Because readiness is the reward of movement, not the requirement. So let me say it clearly. Your time is now, not tomorrow, not someday. Now. The world is waiting for the gifts you're holding back. Your voice, your ideas, your courage, your story. They matter, and they won't impact anyone sitting locked away in hesitation. Picture this. 1 year from now, you could either be in the exact same place, replaying the same excuses, or you could be standing in a completely new season of life, stronger, wiser, more fulfilled because you decided to start today. Which version of yourself do you want to meet? It's not about being fearless. It's about moving forward, even with the fear in your pocket. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. One step, one choice, one act of courage at a time. So don't let fear keep you hostage. Don't let hesitation steal another day of your life. Begin now. Because the only moment we are truly promised, the only moment we can actually act on is this one. That question can feel like a shadow that follows you from the mirror in the morning to the quiet moments before you sleep. It's the whisper that turns wins into worries and plans into paralysis. But let's put this on the table right now. Your worth was never meant to be measured by performance, perfection, or public approval. Your worth is anchored in who you are and whose you are. And when you remember that, the ground under your feet stops shaking. We live in a culture obsessed with scoreboards, followers, likes, revenue, milestones, titles. Useful metrics? Sometimes. True measures of value? Never. Numbers can track output. They cannot define identity. You are not a statistic. You are a story in progress, crafted with intention, designed with purpose, capable of far more than the doubt in your head will ever admit. Here's the trap. When you believe I'm not enough, you'll shrink your dreams to the size of your fear. You'll edit your voice, delay your start, and outsource your confidence to other people's opinions. And when you do that, the world loses a gift only you can give. Personally, I feel one of the quiet tragedies of our time is how many extraordinary lives are lived on mute, not because the talent wasn't there, but because the belief wasn't. So let's reframe enough. Enough doesn't mean flawless. Enough doesn't mean finished. Enough means worthy of beginning. Worthy of trying, failing, learning, rising, and trying again. Enough means you don't need a guarantee to take the next step. You just need the courage to move while the fear is still talking. From my subjective view, courage isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision that your calling matters more than your comfort. Think about every meaningful breakthrough in your life so far. None of them started with perfect clarity. They started with a nudge, a tug in your spirit, a sense that you were built for more than staying where you are. And when you moved, however awkwardly, the fog began to lift. That's how growth works. God rarely hands you the full blueprint. He hands you a step. Take it, and the next one appears. Act, and the path reveals itself. Let's talk about the voice in your head. Sometimes it sounds like you. Sometimes it sounds like a collage of every criticism you've absorbed. Here's the skill. Don't give your inner critic a microphone it didn't earn. Challenge it. Ask, what evidence do I have that I am not enough? Then ask the second question, what evidence do I have that I am capable? List the moments you showed up when it was hard, the promises you kept, the skills you built, the resilience you forged. Those are receipts. Hold them. Believe them. And if we're going to be practical, and we are, here are 4 micro shifts that change everything. 1. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. You wouldn't belittle a friend at their breaking point. Don't do it to yourself. Trade I can't for I'm learning. Trade I'm behind for I'm building. 2. Measure process, not just outcomes. Outcomes are delayed. Effort is immediate. Track the reps. Pages written, Calls made, workouts completed, practice hours logged. Progress compounds. 3. Start embarrassingly small. Big goals freeze you, tiny steps free you. 5 minutes beats 0. 1 page beats none. The brain rewards momentum, not magnitude. 4. Keep promises to yourself. Confidence is self-trust. When you follow through, especially on small commitments, you teach your nervous system, my word is reliable. That's how identity shifts. Now, let's bring faith into the frame. Because for many of us, that's the core. The idea that you are not enough collapses in the presence of a God who formed you with intention and breathes purpose into your lungs each morning. You weren't placed on this earth as an accident. You were sent. And when the sender stands with you, insufficiency becomes an invitation to rely, to lean, to move anyway. The point was never to be self-sufficient. The point is to be surrendered and courageous. Personally, I feel the most powerful people I've met aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who refuse to let doubt have the final word. They feel the tremor and take the step. They hear the criticism and keep the promise. They fail in public and rise anyway. And that's the difference. Not talent alone, not timing alone, but tenacity anchored in a deeper truth about who they are. Let me speak to the perfectionist in you. Perfection is a moving target that keeps you hustling for approval you already have. Excellence? That's different. Excellence is devotion to the craft, care for the details, respect for the process. Pursue excellence, release perfection. Excellence says ship the work, learn, iterate. Perfection says hide until it's impossible to criticize. One of those paths builds a life, the other builds a prison. And to the part of you that counts your flaws like evidence against your future, remember this: your scars aren't disqualifiers. They are credentials. They prove you've endured pressure and kept breathing. They prove you can be hurt and still be brave. The very chapters you'd rather skip might become the paragraphs that set someone else free when you finally choose to share them. Here's a simple mantra to carry into the next hard moment. I don't have to be everything to begin. I only have to be willing to learn, willing to ask for help, willing to be seen trying, willing to take one faithful step today. Because transformation is not one giant leap, it's 1,000 small steps stacked over time. So when the night gets quiet and the old whisper returns, what if I'm not enough? Answer it with this: maybe I'm not finished, but I am chosen, I am capable, and I am becoming. Then prove it with action. Send the email, write the page, make the call, step into the room, pray the prayer, lift the weight, keep the promise. You don't need permission to live boldly. You don't need universal applause to validate your direction. You need a clear why, a willing heart, and the discipline to show up, especially on the days you don't feel like it. And if you do that consistently, something shifts. The voice that says not enough grows quieter. The evidence of your growth gets louder. And one morning you'll catch your reflection and realize you didn't wait to feel worthy. You moved like you were, and the life you're building now is the proof. You are not behind. You are becoming. Begin again right here, right now. Begin with God. Not because it sounds spiritual, but because it is strategic. The first voice you allow into your head sets the thermostat for your entire day. If the first voice is comparison, your day will run cold with insecurity. If the first voice is chaos, emails, notifications, other people's urgency, your day will run hot with anxiety. But if the first voice is the one who authored your breath, your direction calibrates to truth before the world has a chance to distort it. Personally, I feel this is the most underused competitive advantage on earth. Alignment before action. Let's call out the pattern most of us fall into. We wake up and react. We scroll to feel connected but end up scattered. We rush to feel productive but end up distracted. We check everything except the only source that can center us. From my subjective view, that's like trying to run a marathon on fumes and wondering why your legs give out at mile 2. Your soul, like your body, requires fuel clarity, conviction, courage. And the cleanest source of that fuel is presence. Stillness with God before motion with the world. Beginning with God isn't a ritual, it's a relationship. It's less about saying the right words and more about showing up consistently. Think of it like this. Great athletes don't wait for game day to practice the fundamentals. They build muscle memory in quiet gyms so they can trust their reflexes under bright lights. Your morning, those first quiet minutes, is where you build spiritual and mental muscle memory. When the pressure comes later, Your reflex is faith, not fear. Focus, not frenzy. So, how do you actually do this without turning it into another unrealistic routine you abandon in a week? Keep it simple and keep it stacked. 1. Breath before browser. 2 minutes. Sit up, feet on the floor, close your eyes. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. On each inhale, say in your mind, I receive. On each exhale, I release. Receive grace, release anxiety, receive purpose, release pressure. This resets your nervous system and trains your attention to come home. 2. Gratitude stack. 3 minutes. Name 3 specifics. A person, a provision, a possibility. Not generic specific. This rewires your brain to scan for what's working instead of what's missing. Gratitude is not denial, it's direction. 3. Scripture or anchor truth. 5 minutes. Read a short passage or a single verse. Ask 2 questions. What does this say about God? What does this say about how I live today? Write 1 actionable sentence. Example, because God is my source, I will choose excellence over perfection at work today. 4. Ask and align. 2 minutes. Pray plainly. Ask for what you truly need. Wisdom for a conversation, courage for a decision, patience for a person, strength for a task. Clarity often arrives in the simplicity of honest asking. 5. 1 move that matters. 3 minutes. Decide on a single non-negotiable action that advances your calling today, not 10. 1. Send the proposal. Outline the video. Practice the presentation. When you stack small certain wins early, you build momentum that compounds. That's 15 minutes. 15. And if you're thinking I don't have time, recognize that the minutes you lose to reactivity are far more expensive than the minutes you invest in alignment. The day you begin with God is the day you stop leaking energy into distractions masquerading as obligations. Now, let's talk identity. Because beginning with God is more than scheduling, it's anchoring. If you don't know who you are before you walk into the world will happily assign you a role. Trend chaser, approval seeker, endless hustler. Identity given by culture is fragile. Identity received from God is fireproof. You are not the sum of yesterday's mistakes, your follower count, your bank balance, or the opinions of people who don't carry your calling. You are chosen, capable, and in process. And when your identity is settled, your decisions get simpler. You stop saying yes to everything that is loud and start saying yes to what is aligned. I'll tell you what I've watched in myself and in others. When people begin with God, 2 shifts happen fast. First, the volume of fear drops, not to 0, but to manageable. You're reminded that the weight doesn't rest on your shoulders alone. Second, the signal of purpose gets clear. You move from scattered effort to strategic action. You stop chasing opportunities that look good but aren't yours, and you start building where you're actually called to build. And yes, this intersects directly with performance and psychology. Morning alignment regulates cortisol, stabilizes attention, and elevates executive function. It's not just spiritual talk, it's cognitive hygiene. You wouldn't start your day rolling in the mud. Why start it rolling in mental clutter? Treat your first minutes like sacred real estate. Guard them, protect them, fill them with what strengthens you. What about the days you blow it? The alarm fails, the kids are screaming, the inbox is a wildfire, and you're already late. Hear me. Perfection is not the point. Return is. Begin again at 10 a.m. Begin again at lunch. Begin again in your car for 60 seconds before the next meeting. Any moment can be your first moment back. Grace doesn't need a calendar slot to work. It needs willingness. There's another reason to start with God. Direction before velocity. Speed without aim is how people burn out while going nowhere. A calm, directed heart can do in 4 focused hours what a frantic mind can't do in 14. When you align first, you choose better no's, which gives power to your yes. The result is not just productivity, it's fruitfulness, impact that actually matters. Let's make it even more practical with a commitment you can borrow. I will guard my first 15 minutes. No notifications, no news, no noise. I will choose presence over perfection. If I miss the morning, I'll start at the next hour. I will do 1 move that matters. Every day, 1 action aligned with my calling. I will finish with gratitude. At night, I'll note 3 wins: effort, learning, or impact. Do this for 7 days. Watch what happens to your clarity, your energy, and your courage. Then run it for 30. Habits shape futures in silence long before results get loud. One last word for the person who feels disqualified. Beginning with God is not a reward for the already disciplined. It is a rescue for the overwhelmed. You don't have to clean yourself up to come close. You come close and watch how he cleans out what's been cluttering your mind and crowding your heart. The same God who meets giants with shepherds and storms with a whisper will meet your Monday with enough grace for the next step. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for the world, reach for the one who holds it. Breathe. Give thanks. Read a line of truth. Ask for what you need. Choose your one move. Then walk into the day like someone whose identity is anchored, whose purpose is chosen, and whose steps are ordered. Begin with God and let the rest of your life flow from the strength of that first decision. Here's a hard-won lesson. Destiny is not an event, it's a pattern. We keep looking for a single moment to change our lives, but lives are changed by the moments we repeat. From my subjective view, greatness is less about rare explosions and more about steady combustion, an inner fire nurtured by rhythm, boundaries, and belief. Begin with God, yes, but then build with discipline, because alignment without action becomes aspiration. Alignment with action becomes transformation. Let's talk standards. Your standard is the invisible ceiling on your results and the visible floor of your character. If your standard is, I work when I feel inspired, then you've handed your future to your mood. If your standard is, I show up whether I feel like it or not, now your feelings get a seat but not the steering wheel. Personally, I feel the most liberating shift is when you stop negotiating with yourself every morning. You pre-decide your non-negotiables. Prayer, planning, practice, progress. Decision once, discipline daily. But discipline doesn't have to be brutal. It has to be clear. Think in systems, not streaks. Streaks make you fear the day you miss. Systems make you confident you'll return. Build a system you can keep on your worst week. A 10-minute morning with God. A top 3 priorities list. A 60-90-minute deep work block. A 20-minute body reset. An evening review with gratitude. That's a scaffold sturdy enough to hold your calling and flexible enough to survive chaos. And then guard your gates. Your eyes and ears are gateways to your mind. Your mind is the gateway to your life. Curate what enters. Unfollow accounts that ignite comparison more than conviction. Silence notifications that confuse urgency with importance. Replace doom scrolling with deliberate reading. Treat your inputs like nutrition. What you consume, you become. You wouldn't fuel a race car with ditch water. Don't fuel a purpose-filled life with junk content. Community matters too. Lone wolves look mysterious. Packs survive the winter. God often wraps his answers in people, mentors, peers, friends who tell you the hard truth and cheer the hard days. Invite accountability that respects your pace but refuses your excuses. Ask someone you trust, here's the standard I'm setting. Will you ask me about it every Friday? Watch how quickly drift becomes direction when love meets structure. Let's address resistance. Every meaningful work attracts it. The greater your assignment, the louder the static. Expect it. Name it. Don't spiritualize procrastination as waiting for a sign when you're really waiting to feel brave. Courage is not the prerequisite, it's the byproduct of action. Start before you're ready, then let readiness catch up. The first minutes are the hardest. After that, momentum carries weight you once had to drag. And yes, rest. This isn't hustle worship. Rest is not a reward for productivity, it's a prerequisite for clarity. Sabbath is strategy. Step away to return stronger. Your nervous system needs cycles of effort and exhale. If you never power down, you cannot power up. Excellence thrives where recovery is honored. Here's a practice I give high performers who feel spiritually scattered and professionally stretched. Define your North Star in a sentence. I am building for, by, post it. Where you see it at dawn and dusk, choose a keystone habit. One behavior that, when done, makes everything else easier. For example, 45 minutes of deep work before communication apps. Run a weekly prune and plant. What will I prune this week? One distraction, one commitment. What will I plant? One relationship, one habit, one courageous ask. Close the day with a 2-question examine. What strengthened me today? What stole my strength? Keep what gives strength. Design against what drains it. Identity remains the engine. You don't earn who you are by flawless days. You express who you are through faithful days. When you miss, return. When you fall, review. When you doubt, declare aloud what is still true. I am called. I am capable. I am covered. I am becoming. Words shape worlds. Speak the future you're building, then work until your calendar corroborates your confession. Before we close, hear this. You are not late. You're in training. Quiet seasons aren't empty. They're formative. Hidden roots precede public fruit. If you'll keep your mornings anchored, your standards high, your system simple, your gates guarded, your circle honest, your rest protected, you will look up in 6 months and recognize the person you prayed to become. Not because of one viral moment, but because of 100 ordinary moments stewarded with extraordinary intention. So set your standard today. Decide who you are before the day decides for you. Begin with God, build with discipline, and walk forward like someone whose life is proof that alignment plus action is unstoppable. Here's a paradox that will change how you move. Fulfillment grows when your focus shifts from proving yourself to pouring yourself. When life is only about personal wins, the victories arrive hollow. But when your effort is anchored to meaning, when your craft lifts others, when your voice strengthens a weary heart, energy returns that no caffeine can counterfeit. Personally, I feel this is the missing accelerator for so many talented people. They're aiming at success when their soul is wired for significance. Let's frame it plainly. Your calling isn't a trophy you hold, it's a table you set. Your gifts are not museum pieces, they're tools. Tools repair, build, restore. The moment you treat your gift like a status symbol, you'll become protective and anxious. The moment you treat it like a tool, you'll become generous and powerful. From my subjective view, impact is what happens when skill meets service under the fire of consistency. But service isn't soft. Service is strategy. When you serve, you see needs others miss. You collect real data, pain points, patterns, language that refines your message, your product, your leadership. You stop guessing and start solving. That's why the most resonant creators, founders, and leaders sound like they're reading your mind. They've been listening long enough to speak your heart. If you're asking, where do I even start? Start with one person. The myth is that impact begins with audiences. The truth is that it begins with attention. Notice one person's struggle and design one helpful action. Write the email you wish someone had sent you. Record the video you needed 5 years ago. Build the checklist that would have saved you months of confusion. Serve one, then systematize, then scale. To make service sustainable, you need boundaries. You are a river, not a reservoir. Flow requires margins. Here's a simple cadence that turns compassion into compound impact without burning you out. 1. Define your serve scope. Who do you help specifically? What problem do you help them solve? What results do you reliably produce? Clarity stops you from spraying effort in every direction. 2. Package your help. Convert your experience into repeatable assets. Templates, frameworks, SOPs, playlists, checklists. This multiplies you without multiplying hours. 3. Set loving limits. Decide the number of pro bono hours per month. The criteria for yes divided by no. The turnaround time you can honor. Boundaries don't limit love. They lengthen it. 4. Measure meaning, not just money. Track transformations. Emails saved, clients unstuck, students who finish, families relieved. When courage dips, these receipts will carry you. Now let's bring this back to begin with God, because service without source eventually runs dry. Every morning ask a question most people never ask. Who can I strengthen today and how? Then listen. A name will surface. A conversation will nudge you. Act on it. This moves you from generic intention to precise obedience. You'll be amazed how often that single act becomes the hinge for someone's breakthrough and yours. There's another layer here, craftsmanship. Serving doesn't mean shipping sloppy. Excellence is how you honor the people you help. Perfection seeks applause. Excellence seeks to bless. Tighten your work. Edit the sentence. Rehearse the talk. Tune the workflow. Excellence says you matter, so the details matter. When your audience feels cared for, trust compounds. And trust is the true currency of influence. Let me address the voice whispering. But what if I'm not ready? You won't feel ready because growth always outruns comfort. Start with the measure of light you have and move. As you serve, skill deepens. As you teach, understanding clarifies. As you build, vision focuses. Readiness is not a precondition, it's a byproduct. And when resistance hits, as it will remember this sequence: attack, Fear will suggest your work is irrelevant. Anchor. Return to your why and the faces you serve. Adjust. Improve the piece. That's weak. Message. Method. Medium. Advance. Ship the next iteration anyway. One of the most powerful habits you can adopt is a service review at week's end. 10 minutes. 4 questions. 1. Who was helped this week and how? 2. What created the biggest lift with the least friction? Do more of that. 3. Where did energy leak? Design a guardrail. 4. What will I improve by 1% next week? Name the micro upgrade. Tiny upgrades compounded over 52 weeks create results that look like miracles to onlookers and just the next step to you. Let's talk about legacy not as a grand speech but as a daily system. Legacy is baked, not announced. It forms when your calendar repeatedly tells the same story. Show up, serve well, sharpen the edge, share the credit, start again. You don't need a stage to build it, you need a standard. You don't need a title to lead, you need a towel. The one we model: wash feet, then change history. That's not weak, that's royal. If purpose feels foggy, try this practical exercise. Map your pain, list 3 seasons that hurt you most. Extract the patterns. What problem did each season reveal? Design the antidote. What tool, truth, or system would have radically helped you then? Deliver that antidote to the version of you that still exists in others, freely, clearly, consistently. What if you still feel unseen? Remember, hidden seasons are training seasons. Your job isn't to go viral. Your job is to go vital, to build something that actually matters when the hype fades. Keep sowing. The field will testify. Before we close, take this declaration and make it your own. I will serve with excellence, not exhaustion. I will aim my gifts at real needs. I will begin with God, build with discipline, and measure success by the lives strengthened because I showed up. Speak it until your schedule agrees. So today, choose significance over spectacle. Set the table, bring your tools, offer your best, and watch how the room fills, how courage returns, how clarity sharpens. When your life stops orbiting your image and starts orbiting your impact, you won't need to chase momentum. Momentum will start looking for you. Let's talk about the war behind the work. The inner tug of war between your calling and your comfort, between who you were and who you're becoming. The most decisive victories are won before your feet hit the floor. That's why begin with God is more than a motto. It's battlefield protocol. If you don't choose your commander at dawn, your day will draft you into smaller wars, arguments that don't matter, anxieties you can't control, tasks that look urgent but aren't important. Personally, I feel the greatest drain isn't heavy effort, it's misdirected effort. Here's the pattern I see in high potential people. A surge of vision, a sprint of action, then a dip: resistance, confusion, fatigue, and that dip gets misinterpreted as a sign to stop. But from my subjective view, the dip is not a dead end. It's an inflection point. The muscles of mastery grow in the very reps you're tempted to skip. The moment it stops feeling romantic is the moment it starts becoming real. So how do you fight the inner war with wisdom and win? Anchor your day with 3 unalterables that hold even when the schedule snaps. 1. Truth before tasks. Read a short passage and extract a single sentence that becomes your operating principle. Example: I will choose excellence over perfection. Write it where your eyes must pass. Lock screen, desk note, top of your to-do list. When emotions spike, principles guide. 2. Weights before worries. Move your body, even briefly. 10 push-ups, a brisk walk, stretching while you pray. Somatic activation lowers anxiety and primes cognition. Your brain is not a floating head, it's attached to a system. Train the system, and the mind follows. 3. One needle mover before noise. Choose the task that most advances your calling and do 15 undistracted minutes. Not glamorous, effective. You're telling your brain, purpose sets the pace here. Now, let's address the trinity of sabotage: perfection, pace, and people-pleasing. Perfection says don't ship until it's flawless. Translation: hide. Replace it with excellence. Ship the best I'm capable of today, then iterate. Excellence respects the audience. Perfection protects the ego. One builds momentum, the other breeds delay. Pace lies. Faster equals better. But speed without aim is panic. Set a sustainable rhythm. Mastery isn't a sprint, it's seasons. You will have push weeks, then plateaus, then consolidation. Respect the seasons, and you won't mistake winter for death. People-pleasing promises safety if everyone approves. It delivers exhaustion. Your assignment has edges. Not everyone will applaud its contours. Approvals measure comfort, not calling. Aim for obedience, not universal agreement. When fear flares, do this 90-second reset. Pause. Inhale deeply. Name the fear out loud. Counter it with truth. Take a micro action aligned with that truth. Example. Fear. My work isn't good enough. Truth. My worth is not my work, and my work improves through iteration. Micro action. Hit publish. Send the draft. Schedule the call. Courage grows when you take actions your fear told you to avoid. Let's go deeper. Many of us carry quiet grief, losses, betrayals, stalled dreams that leak into today's decisions. We think we're procrastinating. We're actually protecting ourselves from the pain of another. No. This is where beginning with God becomes healing, not just strategy. Bring the wound into the light. Journal the specifics. Name the loss. Invite God's perspective. Ask, what did this take from me? What did it teach me? What will I redeem from it? Healing isn't forgetting, it's reclaiming authority over the meaning of what happened. Identity remains the engine. When you forget who you are, you will hustle for a seat at tables you're meant to set. You are not a guest in your calling, you are the host. Act like it, calm, prepared, generous. Hosts don't audition for permission, they curate experiences with care. That's your work. Curate clarity for others, courage for others, solutions for others. Serve from identity. Don't perform for identity. Here's a 4-frame operating system to keep you aligned when the day gets loud. North Star. Why? One sentence you can say under pressure. I build for by. If you can't say it short, you can't sustain it long. Compass. What? This quarter's 3 outcomes. Only 3. Outcomes, not tasks. Publish the podcast foundation, 10 episodes. Launch the course beta. Secure 3 strategic partners. Calendar. When? Block the first 90 minutes for your needle mover 3 times a week. Guard them like a meeting with your future self. Cadence. How? Monday map, plan, daily top 3, execute. Friday review, refine, Sabbath, rhythm, defeats chaos. What about criticism? Expect it. Invite the part that's helpful, discard the rest. A simple filter. Does this feedback align with my North Star and come from someone who has fruit in the area they're critiquing? If yes, lean in. If not, bless and keep building. You cannot afford to halt construction every time a passerby offers a blueprint. Let's talk capacity. We keep asking God for bigger platforms while mismanaging the one we have. Capacity expands when stewardship deepens. Clean your inputs, tighten your processes, document your workflows. Create templates for the tasks you repeat. Build a simple run book for your work. How you ideate, draft, edit, publish, promote, follow up. When you remove friction, you recover focus. When you recover focus, you multiply effect. And then rest again, because this is non-optional for longevity. Rest is rehearsal for trust. When you step away, you're declaring, the world turns without me. God runs what I can't. Rest returns you to your work with sharper edges and a softer heart. If discouragement is loud today, borrow this declaration and say it like you mean it. I am called, not confused. I am aligned, not frantic. I am a servant, not a performer. I choose excellence over perfection, obedience over optics, rhythm over rush. I begin with God, therefore I build with peace. One more practical layer. Design your environment to default to your destiny. Put your Bible and journal where your phone used to live. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Pre-write tomorrow's top 3 before you close your laptop. Place visual cues, post-its, timers, checklists in the line of sight of your future temptations. Willpower is a weak bodyguard. Environment is a locked gate. Before we close, hear this. You are not behind. You're between versions. The gap you feel is proof that growth is in motion. The questions in your chest aren't evidence of failure. They're mid-journey signals that you care about doing this right. Don't despise the middle. The middle is where roots go deep, character gets tested, systems get built, and the scaffolding of a durable life goes up. So tomorrow morning, when the familiar battle begins, choose your side early. truth before tasks, weights before worries, one needle mover before noise. Guard your gates, honor your rest, remember your why, and when resistance snarls, smile you're near a door. Push, begin with God, win the war within. Then let the world feel the quiet strength of a life aligned. Opportunity is not a lottery ticket, it's a mirror. It reflects the standard you carry into the room. When you begin with God and then build with discipline, you don't beg doors to open, you become the kind of person doors were built to welcome. Personally, I feel this is one of the most empowering shifts you can make. Stop asking, will they pick me? And start declaring, I will be ready when purpose calls. Readiness is respect for your calling. Let's talk about presence. Presence is not just showing up physically, it's arriving aligned, heart steady, mind clear, priorities ranked. When you're present, you respond instead of react. You listen for what isn't being said, and you serve the moment with what it needs, not with what makes you look impressive. From my subjective view, presence is a competitive edge in every arena. Boardrooms, classrooms, studios, pulpits, kitchens. The world is noisy. Presence is rare. But presence grows from preparation. Preparation is the quiet work that teaches your future self to trust you. It's practicing lines when no one's watching, tightening a workflow until it hums, rehearsing a pitch until your nervous system relaxes. Don't glamorize the outcome and resent the reps. Champions don't become champions at the ceremony. They become champions in the repetition no one posts about. If you felt stuck between who you are and who you're becoming, adopt this preparation pyramid. 1. Foundation, identity. Start the day deciding who you are before you do what you do. Chosen, capable, covered, becoming. Identity steadies your hands when pressure rises. 2. Form skills. List the top 3 skills your calling demands in the next season. Communication, leadership, sales, systems, craft. Put practice blocks on your calendar like meetings with yourself. 3. Fuel systems. Document how you produce. Make a simple playbook for idea, draft, edit, publish, promote, follow-up. Systems relieve decision fatigue and free creativity. 4. Finish feedback. Seek sharp, loving critique from people with fruit. Apply 1 improvement per iteration. Progress is a chain of small, honest corrections. Now, a truth we avoid: high impact requires high integrity. Talent can place you on a platform. Integrity keeps you there with clean hands and a clear heart. Integrity is alignment between what you say and what you do when the camera is off and the crowd is gone. Guard the small choices, expense reports, quiet commitments, the way you speak about people who aren't in the room. Compromise rarely arrives as a cliff. It usually arrives as a gentle slope. You will face testing not to expose your weakness to embarrass you, but to reveal your strength to you. Testing clarifies motives, purifies methods, and strengthens muscles. When a plan collapses, ask, is this a redirection, a refinement, or a resistance I must push through? If redirection, pivot with humility. If refinement, sharpen the process and try again. If resistance, dig in and build endurance. Wisdom is knowing which R you're staring at. Let's get practical with the rule of 1-3-1 for pivotal days. 1. Prayer. God, align my heart. Make me useful. 3 priorities. 1. Mission critical deliverable. 1 relational touch point. 1 health anchor move, fuel sleep. 1. Review at day's end. What worked? What wobbled? What will I upgrade by 1% tomorrow? The 1% upgrade sounds small. Live daily. It compounds into a future that looks overnight to everyone else. Talk to your future self. Literally. Write a short memo dated 12 months ahead. Here's what we built. Here's who we became. Here's what we protected. Read it weekly. It will pull you forward when motivation is thin and resistance is loud. Your future self is counting on your present discipline. About calling versus comparison? Calling has a cadence. Comparison has a chokehold. Comparison steals your presence by obsessing over other people's lanes. Calling returns you to your assignment, the people you're sent to serve, the problems you're designed to solve, the message only you can deliver. When comparison flares, ask, am I out of alignment with my audience, my problem, or my process? Realign there, not on someone else's highlight reel. On courage, you don't need to feel brave to act bravely. Courage is a behavior. Send the proposal, record the video, ask for the partnership. Tell the truth, kindly. Do it with the tremble. Courage is obedience under pressure. On communication, your voice carries power when it carries weight, clarity, compassion, conviction. Edit until fluff falls off. Speak to one person, not to everyone. Make the complex simple without making it shallow. A message that changes lives rarely needs complicated words. It needs a consecrated heart and careful craft. On capacity, expand it by tightening your boundaries and raising your standards. Stop renting your focus to low-yield tasks. Batch similar work. Automate the repetitive. Delegate what does not require your fingerprint. Every no you say to distraction is a yes you say to destiny. Let's weave faith back through all of this. Beginning with God does not make you passive. It makes you precise. You stop flailing and start following. You learn to distinguish open doors from traps by their fruit, not their flash. Peace becomes your umpire. If your speed costs your peace, slow down. If your fear disguises itself as caution, step anyway. Guidance is real, so is grit. Move with both. If discouragement is riding your shoulders, borrow this field declaration and speak it out. I will honor my calling with preparation. I will honor people with excellence. I will honor God with obedience. My pace will be sustainable. My standards non-negotiable. My integrity intact. I am not waiting to be chosen. I am choosing to be ready. Finally, remember legacy math. Legacy equals truth times time plus love. Truth gives weight. Time gives roots, love gives reach. Tell the truth with your life. Stay long enough to see roots form. Love people in ways they can feel. That's how ordinary days become a holy story. So tomorrow, arrive prepared, be fully present, and move with clean hands. Knock, yes, but knock, like someone who has done the hidden work. Begin with God. Carry your standard. Serve the room. And watch how the doors you once begged to open begin to recognize your footsteps and swing wide. Let's talk about the long middle, the stretch between obedience and outcome, calling and confirmation, planting and visible growth. The long middle can feel like silence, but it isn't empty. It's where foundations are poured so futures don't collapse. Personally, I feel most destinies are lost, not in failure, but in fatigue. Not in lack of talent, but in lack of tolerance for the quiet seasons where nothing seems to move except your internal resolve. Begin with God. Gives you a way to stand when progress is subtle. Because when you anchor identity before activity, you stop letting metrics argue with your mission. You still measure, you still optimize, but the scoreboard no longer defines your soul. From my subjective view, that's the only way to build something durable. Conviction first, then craft. Presence first, then pace. Let's dismantle a myth. Momentum isn't magic. Momentum is math, tiny consistent actions multiplied by time and protected by standards. You don't get momentum, you manufacture it through rhythm. Your mornings shape your weeks compound into seasons. That's why the humble rituals matter. The scripture on your desk, the plan you write before emails, the list of 3 priorities, the 90 minutes of deep work. These aren't small, they're scaffolding. They carry weight when ambition runs hot and when emotion runs cold. But what about when the long middle stings? When you've posted the video and the views are modest, pitched the project and the response is tepid, showed up to serve, and it feels unnoticed. Remember this 3-part reframe. 1. Seeds are silent before they are loud. Roots don't trend. What takes time to grow takes time to last. 2. Resistance is data, not doom. If something isn't landing, it's not a verdict on your identity. It's a clue about your delivery, your audience, or your timing. 3. Faithfulness is never wasted. Even when outcomes don't spike, faithfulness shapes character, and character expands capacity. Here's a practical cadence for the long middle that keeps you honest and hopeful. Daily, the anchor. 3. Truth before tasks, 1 line of scripture or principle. 1 needle mover, 15-90 minutes. 1 body, reset, walk, stretch, lift. Weekly, the prune and plant. Prune 1 distraction, an app, a meeting, a habit, and plant 1 improvement, a template, a rep, a relationship touch point. Monthly, the field check. Review outcomes with humility and hunger. Ask, what worked? What lagged? What will I simplify? Simplicity is a growth strategy. Let's address deserts periods with no visible payoff. There are 3 kinds. Formation deserts. You're being strengthened. Skills sharpen. Motives purify. capacity widens. Direction deserts, you're being steered. The quiet is God's way of turning you without whiplash. Protection deserts, you're being hidden, kept from platforms your character isn't ready to carry yet. Wisdom is asking, which desert am I in? If formation, train deliberately. If direction, listen intently. If protection, give thanks and prepare anyway. Now, a word about simplicity. Complexity is often camouflage for fear. We add layers so the work feels important, but complexity can strangle execution. Reduce to the vital few. The audience you serve, the problem you solve, the vehicle you use. Your niche isn't a prison, it's a runway. Focus accelerates takeoff. And because we're building for longevity, we must talk energy stewardship. Excellence requires energy, and energy comes from habits that look boring on camera. Sleep that honors tomorrow, nutrition that stabilizes mood, movement that clears the mind, relationships that refill the soul. Set a minimum standard. Sleep. Protect a consistent window. Groggy minds make chaotic plans. Fuel. Eat for focus. Protein, fiber, water. Move. Even 20 minutes changes cognition. Connect. One real conversation a day, encouragement given or received. None of this is glamorous. All of it is leverage. When discouragement spikes, borrow. The 90-second reset. Name the feeling, I'm discouraged. Locate it. Where in your body? Normalize it. This is what growth feels like. And move 1 inch, open the doc, write 1 paragraph, send 1 message. Activation precedes motivation. Motivation follows motion like a loyal dog. Stop waiting for it to lead. Let's fold in craft. Talent starts the conversation. Craftsmanship sustains it. Craft is respect for the work and the people it serves. Edit your sentences until they carry weight without waste. Rehearse your delivery until your nervous system stops panicking and starts partnering. Audit your process until friction falls and throughput rises. Excellence is love made visible through details. And yes, feedback. Not every opinion deserves access to your heart. Filter it with 3 questions. 1. Does this person have fruit in the area they're critiquing? 2. Does the feedback align with my North Star? 3. Can I translate it into a specific improvement within 1 iteration? If the answer to 1, 2 is no, bless and release. If yes and yes, take the 3rd step and upgrade. On waiting, waiting is not passive, it's a posture. You can wait well by preparing. The audition might come sudden, but the readiness will not. Study the craft. Draft the outlines. Build the templates. Write the emails you'll need later. Waiting well makes sudden look like destiny, not luck. Let me speak to the part of you that fears being unseen. Hiddenness is not humiliation, it is incubation. The most dangerous thing that could happen is to be widely seen before you are wisely formed. Hidden seasons are not a curse, they are a kindness. Receive them as training, not as rejection. Here's a long middle playbook you can copy. North Star, I build for buy, keep it in view. 3 outcomes this quarter, outcomes not tasks. State them clearly. Weekly rhythm, plan Monday. Deep work 2, divided by TH, 90 minutes. Ship Friday, rest Saturday divided by Sunday in a way that truly restores. Service pulse, each week, help one specific person in a tangible way. Impact keeps your heart soft when metrics feel cold. Iterate publicly, reflect privately, share the work, do the soul inventory off stage. When fear of not enough resurfaces, answer with identity confession spoken out loud. I am planted, not stuck. I am being prepared, not passed over. I am called to serve, not to perform. I value excellence over perfection, rhythm over rush, stewardship over spectacle. I begin with God. Therefore, I build with peace. Now, let's touch calling and cost. Every yes has a price. The price of purpose is pruning. You will lay down good things to protect the best things. Friends may not understand the new boundaries. Invitations may go unanswered. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. Protecting the center lets you serve the circle. And joy, don't forget joy. Joy is strength. Schedule delight on purpose. A walk without headphones. Music that makes your shoulders drop. A hobby you don't monetize. The work deepens when the soul laughs. If you're starving for a sign, consider this your next step protocol. 1. Ask, What is the smallest faithful action I can take today that aligns with my calling? 2. Act. Do it within the hour. No drama, no negotiations. 3. Assess. At day's end, write 2 lines. What moved the needle? What resisted? 4. Adjust. Upgrade one element tomorrow by 1%. 5. Abide. Begin again with God in the morning. Reset the compass daily. Before we close, a reminder about peace. Peace is not the absence of pressure, it's the presence of order. When you begin with God, order returns. Identity over image, obedience over optics, faithfulness over frenzy. Order doesn't remove hard days, but it gives them lane so they don't overrun your mind. You may not see the harvest yet. That's fine. Check the roots, check the rhythm, check your rest, check your reasons. If those are aligned, keep sowing, quietly, consistently, courageously. The field will testify when it's time. So today, honor the long middle. Tighten your system, soften your heart, strengthen your hands. Begin with God. Do the next faithful thing. Protect your peace. And trust that when the season turns, and it will, you'll be ready. Not because a miracle erased the process, but because the process made you into the kind of person who can carry the miracle without it breaking you. Your voice is not an accident. It's an assignment. The way you see, the way you phrase, the way your story bends around truth. These are not random quirks. They are tools forged in your history to help someone else survive theirs. When you begin with God, you stop auditioning for permission to speak and start stewarding the message already entrusted to you. Personally, I feel many destinies stall not from lack of talent, but from neglecting the craft that lets the message land. Let's get clear. Authenticity isn't rambling into a microphone. Authenticity is disciplined honesty. It's truth with edges, delivered with care. From my subjective view, the most persuasive communicators do 3 things relentlessly. They clarify, they compress, and they connect. Clarify, compress, connect. Clarify the point until a teenager could explain it back to you. Compress the language until every sentence earns its oxygen. Connect the idea to a human pain or hope so concrete your audience can feel it in their body. Vague inspiration evaporates. Specific truth sticks. Here's a simple framework. I teach creators, leaders, and communicators the 4C message model to turn raw conviction into words that move people. 1. Core state. The 1-sentence truth. No commas, no caveats. Begin with God so your day is led by peace, not panic. If the heartbeat isn't strong, the body won't stand. 2. Costs name the price of ignoring the truth. If you start with noise, anxiety drafts your agenda. Stakes create attention. 3. Case. Tell a short, specific story, yours or a client's, that proves the truth in the wild. Details make belief possible. 4. Call. Give one clear. Next step. Doable today. Guard your first 15 minutes tomorrow. Breath. Gratitude. One line of scripture. One needle mover. Clarity births compliance. Run every message through those 4 and watch the fog lift. Now, let's talk story. Story is not garnish, it is the vehicle. Facts inform. Stories transform because they smuggle truth past defenses. Build stories with the PATH structure. Problem. What hurt? Be precise. Attempt. What did you try that didn't work? Name the dead ends with humility. Turn. What truth? Reframe the situation. Where did God, wisdom, or a new model interrupt the spiral? Help. What practice, principle, or habit moved you forward? Hand the listener a handle. You are not performing your life, you're offering a map. The best maps show the potholes and the exits. Craft also means editing. Editing is love in action. Love for the audience's time, attention, and transformation. Here's a 3-pass edit to sharpen any piece. Video, sermon, email, sales page. Pass 1. Cut the cotton. Remove fillers. Cliches. Hedges. Replace I think maybe we should with do this. Authority serves. Pass 2. Add the anchor. Insert one stat, one scripture, or one vivid image to weight the point. Hearts open. Anchors hold. Pass 3. Smooth the stairs. Ensure every sentence logically leads to the next. Friction breaks trust, flow builds it. On delivery, your nervous system is part of your message. Train it, warm up your voice, breathe low and slow, plant your feet, pace your cadence, Silence is a sentence. The pause after a hard-hitting line lets meaning land. If you sprint through every insight, you'll sound urgent, but leave no imprint. Presence on camera or stage is practiced. Before you record, ask, who is the one person I'm serving? What does their morning look like? What fear did they wake up to? What promise do they need to hear? Speak to that person. When you aim at everyone, you miss the one. When you serve the one, everyone feels seen. Let's address the fear of being misunderstood. It will happen. Precision lowers the risk. Courage carries you through it. Hold this filter for criticism. 1. Is the critique about clarity? I didn't get it. Or values? I don't agree. Fix clarity. Accept honest disagreement. 2. Does the critic have fruit in the field they're grading? Weigh feedback by results, not volume. 3. Can I translate the note into a specific revision? If yes, improve. If no, archive and move on. And this matters. Language shapes lives. Ban weak phrases that leak authority. Just maybe, kind of. I'm no expert, but replace with clean declarations and humble certainty. Here's what works. This is the next step, in my experience. Confidence isn't arrogance when it's tethered to service. For those building in a specific niche, remember, a niche is not a cage. It's a conversation you commit to leading. Depth creates demand. The more precisely you articulate a problem and consistently deliver solutions, the more the right people self-select into your world. Don't chase breadth. Earn it by going deep enough that your work becomes a reference point. Here's a weekly communication workout to grow your voice like a muscle. Mountain headlines. Write 10 hooks for the same idea. Aim for curiosity, specificity, tension, 200-300 words. Draft one short piece on your core truth. No editing. Wet edit drill. Cut that draft by 30% while increasing clarity. Through story rep. Write a PATH story from your week. Problem, attempt, turn, help. Free ship. Publish one thing. Small and real beats big and imagined. Weekend review. What resonated? What confused? What will you try next week? 5 weeks of that and your voice will carry more weight, precision, and grace. Let's pull the lens back to purpose. Your message is not merely content, it is contribution. Someone's midnight is waiting for your morning. That's why we begin with God. So the words aren't hollow performance but overflow. The difference is palpable. One voice chases applause, the other chases alignment. One burns out, the other burns bright. When discouragement nips at your heels, views plateau, responses drip, return to this 3-part reset. 1. Identity. Speak it out loud. I am called to serve, not to perform. I am a steward of this message. 2. Intention. Name the one person today's message will help and how. 3. Iteration. Circle. One improvement and one experiment. Progress over perfection. Always. A word on ethics and attribution. Cite your sources. Honor your influences. Pay for the tools you use. And credit collaborators. Integrity is a megaphone. People feel safe around builders who keep their word and keep their books clean. God honors clean hands. Also, joy. If your message loses joy, your audience will feel the grind. Schedule fun into your creative process. Playlist for writing. A standing walk after drafts. A ritual drink for ship moments. Joy lubricates courage. Before we close, take this communicator's creed and make it yours. I will begin with God, so I speak from overflow, not emptiness. I will clarify, compress, and connect. I will prize excellence over perfection and service over spectacle. I will practice when no one is clapping and tell the truth when pressure is loud. I will use my voice to lift the weary, equip the willing, and honor the one who sent me. Your voice matters, not someday, today. Someone's decision to keep going may hinge on a sentence. Only you can say the way you say it. So prepare in private. Show up in public. Speak with clean fire. And when the tremble visits, as it will let it ride with you, it does not get to drive. Begin with God. Shape the message. Ship the work. Trust the process. The world doesn't need another echo, it needs your sound. Leadership of a team, a family, or simply your own future is decision-making under pressure. And pressure exposes what preparation installed. That's why begin with God isn't a slogan, it's your decision architecture. When the stakes rise, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your training. Personally, I feel most bad decisions aren't moral failures. They're the byproduct of fog, too many inputs, too little identity, and no operating system to sort the noise. Let's build that operating system so your choices align with your calling, not your cortisol. From my subjective view, durable leaders decide with peace, principles, and patterns. 1. Peace, the umpire. Peace is not the absence of risk, it's the presence of order. Ask, does this path preserve inner alignment? If your speed costs your peace, slow down. If your fear disguises itself as caution, take the step. Begin with prayer, not panic. Speak the decision aloud before God. Here is what I'm seeing. Here is what I'm fearing. Here is what I'm choosing. You'll be surprised how often clarity arrives when you move your concerns from rumination to relationship. Principles, the rails. Pre-decide your rails so you're not negotiating values at 11:47 p.m. under deadline fatigue. 5 rails I recommend. Integrity over optics. I'd rather be right than look right. Excellence over perfection. Ship clean. Improve fast. People over performance theater. Tell the truth. Protect dignity. Focus over FOMO. If it's not aligned with the North Star, it's a no. Sabbath over strain. Rest is strategy. Burnout is betrayal. When a decision violates a rail, the answer is already no. Patterns. The playbook. Use simple patterns to reduce cognitive load. Here's a decision triage you can apply in 5 minutes. Is it reversible? If yes, decide fast and iterate. If no, slow down and gather counsel. Is it high leverage? If yes, it belongs in your prime energy window. If no, delegate or time box. Is it in my niche? If it drags you away from your lane, it's likely a shiny detour. Is there sufficient light? You don't need the full blueprint, just the next 2 steps. If you have them, move. Now, what about days when everything hits at once? Budget pressure, team tension, family needs. Create a crisis protocol you can follow, even at 20% energy. 1. Stabilize. Breathe for 60 seconds. No screens. Name the problem in 1 clear sentence. 2. Simplify. Write the 3 constraints and the 3 options. Remove any option that violates your rails. 3. Sequence. Choose the first doable step that shrinks the problem. Put a timer on it, 20-40 minutes. 4. Support. Loop in 1 truth teller for perspective, not a crowd for panic. 5. Submit. Pray. Act. Review. Then release what you can't control. Leadership requires humility and heat. The humility to learn and the heat to move. Too much humility without heat becomes passivity. Too much heat without humility becomes recklessness. Balance both by building feedback loops you actually respect. Upward truth. Give your mentors clean data, numbers, outcomes, context. Ask, what am I not seeing? Lateral candor. Invite peers to critique your process, not your person. Tear the plan, spare the soul. Downstream signals. Listen to the people you serve. If they're confused, that's on you. Improve clarity. Let's talk capacity, because decisions are easier when you're not operating at the edge of depletion. Capacity grows with subtraction as much as addition. Audit your week and label tasks. Fingerprint versus footprint. Fingerprint work needs you voice, judgment, presence. Footprint work needs your system a template anyone can run. Automate footprint. Calendar. Fingerprint. Every no to low yield busy work is a yes to high yield stewardship. Here's a leader's rhythm that protects clarity. Daily. North Star recall, 1 sentence. Top 3. 1 hard thing before noon, true stop time. Weekly. Monday map, Wednesday adjust. Friday review, wins divided by lessons, divided by 1% upgrade. Sabbath. Monthly. Strategy. Hour, 1 hour alone with metrics, mission, and margins. Decide 1 prune, 1 plant. On team leadership, even if your team is 2 contractors and a supportive friend, set expectations, outcomes, deadlines, definition of done. Provide enablement, tools, examples, access. Offer encouragement, specific recognition, not vague praise. Require excellence, clear standards. Coach once, document twice, decide the 3rd time. People do not rise to vague ambition. They rise to clear standards held with humane consistency. On communication under pressure, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Write it, then tighten it. Headline, context, decision, next steps, owners, deadlines. Remove hedges that leak confidence. Add kindness that protects trust. When you're unclear, your team pays in confusion tax. Let's address failure, because leadership without recovery skills is a short career. When a bet misses, run the 4-hour postmortem within 48 hours. Reality. What actually happened? Facts, not feelings. Responsibility. What was in our control? Own it completely. Repair. What will we fix now? Relationships, processes, promises. Rebuild. What guardrails prevent a repeat? Document the upgrade. Shame loves vagueness. Clarity starves it. You do not become a weaker leader by apologizing. You become a trusted one. And please, protect your heart. Cynicism masquerades as wisdom after a few hits. Resist it. Cynicism is a cheap shield that blocks joy and innovation. Choose sturdy hope. Acknowledge reality without surrendering possibility. Joy is not naivety, it's strength. If you're leading in a creator economy or entrepreneurial lane, remember, distribution is leadership. If your ideas don't travel, the people who need them won't find you. Build distribution like an adult. One flagship channel, long form depth. One discovery channel, short form, clips, carousels. One community well, email or private group you own. Ship on a reliable cadence. Repurpose with intention. One long piece, 5 short pieces, one newsletter. Depth earns trust. Rhythm earns reach. As you grow, money math matters. Purpose doesn't pay invoices. Stewardship does. Keep clean books, separate accounts. Pay yourself a modest salary. Reinvest into systems and people before optics. Scarcity thinking will starve good work. Reckless spending will sink it. Budget like a builder. Tools, training, team, and time. A word on boundaries. Your yes has a shelf life if it isn't protected by no. Write a not doing list for the next 90 days. Events, projects, habits that dilute focus. Show it to someone who will hold you to it. A narrow lane now creates a wide road later. Finally, let's land this in the soul. Begin with God every day, not to make you mystical, but to make you useful. You're not asked to carry the world, only your assignment. Pray short and honest. Align my heart, clean my motives, strengthen my hands, make me helpful. Then work your plan. Here's a leader's declaration to say, when choices stack and doubt gets loud, I choose peace over panic. I choose principles over pressure. I choose patterns over guesswork. I will move with integrity, speak with clarity, and serve with excellence. I am not late, I am led. I begin with God, therefore I decide with confidence. One step remains. Decide. Not recklessly, not endlessly, faithfully. Decide to narrow your focus. Decide to keep your word. Decide to return when you miss. Decide to prune what dilutes you. Decide to build what will outlast you. Doors honor decisive stewards. Tomorrow, when the options multiply and the clock shouts, remember your rails, run your triage, breathe, and move. Begin with God. Let peace umpire. Let principles guide. Let patterns carry you through the noise. And watch how your decisions stack day after day quietly construct the future you prayed for. Let's talk about recovery, the art and discipline of rising well. Anyone can rise when the wind is behind them. Destiny is shaped by how you rise when the wind hits your chest. Begin with God is not just a morning ritual here. It's your recovery protocol. Personally, I feel the difference between people who last and people who flame out isn't luck or raw talent. It's the speed and quality of their return after a hit. From my subjective view, the most dangerous moments are not public failures. They are the private conclusions we draw about ourselves in the aftermath. First, name what happened without decorating it. Clarity saves you from 2 traps: blame and blur. Blame externalizes responsibility and steals your power to improve. Blur refuses to face the facts and keeps you circling the same mountain. Write a short, honest line. We missed the target because. This is not self-shame, it's self-leadership. The truth you refuse to face becomes the ceiling you can't break. Next, anchor your identity before you touch your plan. Identity drains faster than battery life after a loss. Speak it out loud. Yes, out loud. I am chosen. I am capable. I am covered. I am becoming. Your nervous system listens to your mouth. Call your soul to attention before you call your team to a meeting. You cannot design a wise pivot from a panicked self-concept. Now, let's run a recovery flywheel, a 4-step loop that turns pain into power without performing for optics. 1. Reveal reality over rumor. Gather clean data, what happened, when, how. Strip drama. If it's creative work, review the actual copy. Hook, CTA, distribution timing. If it's leadership, review expectations, enablement, execution. Reality interrupts the stories your fear tries to improvise. 2. Repent. Return to alignment. Repent isn't a shaming word. It means turn back. Where did you drift from excellence, integrity, or focus? Own it. Apologize quickly where needed. Private humility prevents public humiliation later. 3. Repair. Design the upgrade. Install one process. Fix. One skill rep. One boundary. Document the change. If you can't point to a specific upgrade, you didn't recover, you just waited. 4. Release. Lay down the residue. Pray it off. Move your body. Take a walk without headphones. Breathe deeply. Hit publish again. Recovery requires a clean internal slate, otherwise yesterday's dust muddies today's decisions. There's a core truth that keeps me steady. Results are lagging indicators of unseen roots. When you sow faithfully in the right soil, the first proof is not applause, but peace. Peace lifts your eyes so you can see the next faithful step. That's why beginning with God is not nice, it's necessary. He reminds you your assignment didn't evaporate because a metric dipped. The scoreboard is a tool. It is not your shepherd. Let's address criticism, because recovery often stumbles here. Criticism comes in 3 flavors: sharpening, useful, specific, from credible voices. Keep it, shaping values-based disagreement. Consider it if it clarifies your stance. Shrapnel, vague, attacking, agenda-driven. Extract nothing, heal, and move on. Make a simple rule. I only change direction for data or for God, not for drive-by opinions. And remember, the people you aim to help are your true north. Serve their needs over the noise. Now, forgiveness of others and yourself. Unforgiveness is cognitive debt. It taxes your attention and narrows your creativity. If a partner mishandled a promise, confront clearly and forgive fully, then rebuild trust with guardrails. If you broke your word to yourself, make a micro promise you will keep today. 10 minutes of deep work, a single outreach message, a brisk walk. Confidence is self-trust, and self-trust is rebuilt by kept promises in small doses. When the future feels fuzzy, reduce the scope and increase the fidelity. Ask, what is the smallest faithful step that meaningfully advances my calling within 60 minutes? Then take it before the hour ends. Action shrinks anxiety. Anxiety expands in undefined time and undefined tasks. Let's bring this to your niche, because a hit can tempt you to abandon your lane. Don't. A niche is a conversation you've committed to lead. After a loss, refine the conversation, tighten the audience profile, sharpen the pain point, modernize the language, test a new angle, keep the lane, optimize the line you're driving. Breath comes from depth, well stewarded. Here's a 72-hour bounce-back plan you can adopt the next time something tanks. Hour 02, decompress, hydrate, move, pray honestly. I'm disappointed. Show me the lesson. Keep me soft. Hour 28, diagnose. Pull 5 key facts. Identify one failure of message, one failure of method, one failure of moment, timing divided by context. Hour 8, 24, decide. Choose one upgrade per category. Draft the next iteration. Share the plan with one trusted peer for friction check. Hour 24, 48, do. Produce and ship the improved version. Don't aim for perfect, aim for proven better. Hour 48, 72, debrief. Note what improved, what remained stubborn, and the next 1% adjustment. Then celebrate the return. Yes, celebrate the return, not just the result. A word on grit versus grace. Grit keeps you moving. Grace keeps you whole. Without grit, you'll quit too soon. Without grace, you'll grind yourself into a smaller, angrier version of you. Begin with God to hold both. Pace yourself. Protect Sabbath. Talk to a wise friend instead of doom scrolling. Protect your laughter. It's evidence that your soul still has oxygen. For creators and leaders, distribution wounds are common when the work is good, but it doesn't travel. Treat distribution like craft. Recut the opening 5 seconds, clarity plus tension. Add a single vivid visual or statistic. Simplify the CTA to one action. Republish at a time. Your audience is actually alive. Test 3 thumbnails divided by titles. Recovery is not magical thinking. It's meticulous iteration. If your setback involves relationships, a team conflict, a public misunderstanding, apply care quickly. Clarify the facts together. Acknowledge impact, how each party was affected. Repair with commitments, who will do what by when. Evaluate in a week. Did the repair hold? People remember how you handle the hard days far longer than they remember the easy wins. Finally, legacy. You don't build a legacy by never falling, you build it by never faking and by rising in ways that strengthen others. Tell the truth about your process. Share your scars with wisdom. Teach what you learned faster than you learned it. When you recover publicly with integrity, you give others a template to try again. Take this recovery declaration and speak it over your life the next time the ground shakes. I am not my last result. I am a faithful builder. I gather truth without shame. I upgrade with courage, and I release the residue. I begin with God, therefore I rise with peace. What was meant to break me will build me, and what slowed me will school me. Tomorrow, when the sting lingers, remember the future doesn't get built by the person who never falls. It gets built by the person who keeps returning, aligned, humble, and willing to take the next faithful step. Begin with God. Run the flywheel. Keep your standards. Forgive. Fast. Iterate. Clean. And watch how recovery done well, done often, quietly becomes your superpower. Let's land the plane with clarity, conviction, and a commission you can carry into real Mondays. This whole journey has circled one core truth. Begin with God, then build with discipline. Not as slogan, but as a structure. Not as hype, but as habit. Because destiny doesn't arrive fully assembled. It's framed in daily choices, dry seasons, quiet rooms, and the kind of standards you hold when no one is clapping. Here's the final integration, the how you live this out when alarms ring, bills stack, inboxes overflow, and the world offers you 1,000 ways to be busy without ever becoming who you're called to be. 1. The covenant morning alignment before acceleration. You don't need a 2-hour monastery block. You need 15 focused minutes you actually keep. Make it a covenant, not a vibe. Breath, 2 minutes. Inhale, I receive. Exhale, I release. Receive grace. Release anxiety. Your nervous system learns who's in charge. Gratitude. 3 minutes. 3 specifics: person, provision, possibility. Specificity turns gratitude from theory into training. Anchor truth, 5 minutes, scripture or a single principle. Ask, what does this say about God? What does this require of me today? Write 1 actionable sentence. 1. Move. 5 minutes. Choose a single, non-negotiable action that advances your calling. Put it on the calendar. Start the timer. Personally, I feel this is the single highest leverage habit in the whole framework. It's not sexy. It is surgical. It returns you to peace and puts your feet on purpose before the world makes its pitch. The workbench systems. Over spurts. Inspiration is a wonderful guest and a terrible boss. Build a workbench, a simple, repeatable pipeline that respects your craft and time. North Star. I build for, by. If this sentence is foggy, your week will be foggy. Pipeline. Idea, draft, edit, ship, distribute, follow up. Give each stage a checklist. Cadence. Map the week. Top 3 outcomes. O2A divided by 2. 90 minutes of deep work before communication apps. O free. Ship and review. Wins, lessons, 1% upgrade. O weekend. True rest that restores, not numbs. Run book. Document the boring things once so you never debate them again. Naming files, thumbnail process, interview prep, outreach templates. From my subjective view, your niche is not a tiny box. It's a trusted conversation you lead consistently. Systems keep that conversation coherent while your skill compounds. The standard excellence over perfection. Perfection performs for applause. Excellence serves for impact. Excellence ships the best you can make today and iterates with humility tomorrow. Clarify, compress, connect every message. PATH, your stories, problem, attempt, turn, help. 3-pass edit. Cut fluff. Add 1 anchor stat, divided by scripture, divided by image. Smooth the stairs so every sentence earns the next. Language shapes lives. Ban just, kind of, maybe. Replace with clean, generous clarity. Here's what matters. Here's what to do next. I turn the gates, inputs determine outputs. Protect your eyes, ears, and calendar like they belong to someone you love, because they do. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison more than conviction. Silence non-urgent notifications. Curate learning. 1 book, 1 mentor, 1 course per quarter. Community beats isolation. Lone wolves look cool, packs survive winters. Invite 1 truth teller who loves you enough to challenge drift. The leader's rails. Decide with peace, principles, patterns. When pressure mounts, you fall to your rails. Peace. If your speed costs peace, slow down. If fear dresses as caution, step anyway. Pray it out loud. Principles. Integrity over optics. Excellence over perfection. People over performance theater. Focus over FOMO. Sabbath over strain. Patterns. Decision. Triage. Reversible. Decide fast. High leverage. Do in your prime hours. In niche. If not, it's probably a pretty detour. Enough light for 2 steps? Move. The service engine. Significance over spectacle. Aim your gifts at real pain. Package your help so it scales without burning you out. Serve scope. Who exactly? What problem? What result? Assets. Templates. Checklists. Frameworks. Multiplication without martyrdom. Limits. Boundaries extend your love. Decide pro bono hours, response windows, and what you say no to this quarter. Measure meaning. Save the emails, stories, and small wins. They are fuel when metrics feel cold. The recovery flywheel. Rise well, rise often. Setbacks are not detours. They are data and training. Reveal. Facts over drama. Repent. Realign without shame. Apologize fast. Repair. Install 1 process fix. 1 skill rep. 1 boundary. Release. Pray off the residue. Move your body. Ship again within 48 hours. Personally, I feel your superpower won't be never falling. It'll be returning faster and cleaner than most people think possible. The long middle roots. Before fruit. Hidden seasons are not punishment. They are preparation. Daily anchor 3. Truth. Needle mover. Body reset. Weekly prune and plant. Remove 1 distraction. Add 1 improvement. Monthly field check. Simplify what's bloated. Realign with the North Star. Joy on purpose. Something that makes your soul laugh, scheduled, not accidental. You are not late. You are not behind. You are becoming. The distance between where you are and who you're called to be is not crossed by wishing. It's crossed by rhythm, tiny, honest actions that stack into a life with weight. Begin with God to remember who you are. Build with discipline to become who you're meant to be. Guard your gates. Serve your people. Keep your standards. Rest like you trust the one who sent you. If you need a single sentence to carry into the next hard morning, let it be this: peace sets my pace, purpose sets my plan. And if you want words to say when doubt shouts louder than truth, stand up, breathe, and declare. I begin with God. Therefore, I build with peace. I choose excellence over perfection, rhythm over rush, service over spectacle. I am planted, not stuck, prepared, not passed over, guided, not guessing. My standards are high. My hands are steady. My heart is clean. I will steward today so tomorrow recognizes me. Now, here's your final call to action, not for a someday, but for this week. 1. Commit to the covenant morning for the next 7 days. 15 minutes, no compromises. 2. Write your North Star and post it where your eyes land first thing. 3. Pick 1 needle-moving project and schedule 3 deep work blocks, 45-90 minutes before you open any app. 4. Ship 1 thing by Friday: video, page, pitch, proposal. Small and real beats big and imagined. 5. Run the Friday review. Wins, lessons, next week's 1% upgrade. 6. Tell one person you trust what you're committing to, and ask them to check in next week. Then come back and report what changed first, your peace, your clarity, or your courage. If this series strengthened you, subscribe, share it with someone who's in their long middle, and drop the declaration in the comments. I'm in for 7 days. You don't need permission to begin. You already began. Now build slow, steady, sacred. And when the world gets loud, return to the altar you made in the morning. That's where your edge lives. That's where your next faithful step will always be waiting.